Well, in case you hadn't thought we hadn't plunged the depths deep enough, we now have to go in this Nasher first, as we discuss, well, as you may have caught on over the last couple of videos, we've been on something a little bit of a health kick, if you will, when talking about Chris, because sometimes it's always a necessary reminder. Like the way I look at the subject of Chris's health, it's a bit like sometimes it's like going to the zoo, because they say it's the differentiation in imagination that actually separates us from the animals. Sometimes I will literally just go down to the zoo just to laugh and mock the animals for basically us being far more intelligent than they are. I mean, how many of you guys, if you were given a chance to go up to a llama and say toss her at it for no other reason apart from you can get away with it no bother, and then just the occasional stuff like that at a Shetland pony? Because it's imagination that can actually come up with so many wonderful things like Gary Indiana or cornflakes, whereas animals can't. And one of the things that these health articles that the Quickie likes to spew out all over your webpage is that we sometimes have the implication that we can imagine that what it's like not to look like this, or what it could mean to look like this if you have completely given up on yourself and any prospect that this mortal coil might have for you, apart from the sweet, sweet taste of eventual destined death. As you do. The horror. Originally assumed to be yellowish as a result of his poor video quality, Chris's fangs are more likely discoloured as a result of his copious amounts of soda that he drinks, which has other effects as well. The fact that he has multiple visible cavities seems to support this, although Chris could just be too lazy to brush his teeth. What is certain is that despite his claim to visit a dentist every 6 months, the inside of his mouth is even more horrifying than the outside, or any words that came out of it, or wherever else his lips have been. The powers. They're called eye teeth, but they feel and look like fangs of a vampire, DPG, or something to me. Chris believes his teeth are more menacing than those of ordinary humans. Why, I have no idea. He revealed his fangs in a series of videos in 2009, in some cases essentially shoving the PSI into his mouth. He believed this to be intimidating, although the actual effect of being exposed to the inside of his mouth is revulsion. One can only infer from these threats that Chris intended to use them to bite his antagonists, but considering the awful state of his teeth, he'd be lucky if none fell out in the process. Ironically, Chris's canine teeth are so blunt and rounded that they almost look like incisors, the front teeth. Though flat canines can be genetic, the canine teeth can gradually become blunted over the course of a lifetime. Since they are involved in chewing, something that Chris does a lot, despite not even having reached middle age, Chris's teeth are already extremely blunt, meaning that they would make for even less effective weaponry than the contents of the human mouth already do. Perhaps realizing this, Chris stopped baring his fangs after 2009, and has since upgraded his arsenal to a pocket knife, sonchu, mace, and a baseball bat. Wait, when did Chris start carrying around a pocket knife? I thought that's the sort... Let's... Hang on, let me just check this out. Is this, when did Chris start carrying this around? That's new to me. Chris gonna be, a wannabe op anytime soon? Even going as far as depicting his emoji with them. Whatever that is. Oh, memoji. It's like, yeah, okay, things. I see what they've done there. God Lord, it's have I shown my age where I've forgotten what those things were. Wisdom teeth. Chris has had an operation to remove his wisdom teeth. He kept them in a jar on top of the Megan shrine and made a Yu-Gi-Oh card with them on it. He also thought Julie would be impressed by this fact, letting her know that I still have them preserved in a jar with a dash of alcohol. seemingly unaware that since teeth are hard and solid objects, they shouldn't need to be preserved in anything. Being the bizarre narcissist that he really is, Chris feels the need to immortalize any significant event in his life in some way. Be it through short stories, comic adaptation, or even custom trading cards. The fact that he finds his removed teeth important enough to think that they would be worth adding to a card game says a lot about him. The fate of the teeth following the 2014 house fire remains unknown. Though, again, with a splash of alcohol inside, they could have possibly have ignited. They would have had to identify the remains of Chris's dental records via their dental records. That sounded clever in my head, I swear. Appearances. Captain's Log, Stardate 8th of January 2009. In this video, Chris stated that he wasn't afraid to show Greg Mays to show his fangs. He then leaned toward the camera for a close-up of his upper teeth, in particular his 2 front teeth. What am I even doing? I'm talking about Chris showing off his teeth. That's not in the comics. By the way, the only thing to be worth noting about this is that the last one that he did was in the Sign Destruction video. And this is probably the example of the poor lighting. So, for the sake of the people at home, I'm just going to sort of like...
This is what Clyde cares too. Every last one of his family members, including his guardian.
And yes, by the way, that is the last time we actually get to see Chris's fangs. He exposed his yellowed and rotting teeth to the audience, undoubtedly to show off his sugar-encrusted enamel. Maybe it was because of this video as well, the reason why it probably disappeared. Although I thought this happened in September, like the dating for this is a little bit bizarre. Anyways, in the comics. In Solitude issue 10, the Devil Beale manages to steal Chris Chan's Solitude's medallion, causing him to revert back to ordinary Chris at his nadir. Chris discovers that his powers actually reside in his high school ring, that he saves the day. To further bolster his self-esteem, Chris takes this moment to show his fangs, noting, "I have fangs for my eye teeth." This turns out to have no bearing on the plot. Like everything that happens in Christory, and the fangs make a return in emoji form. Fantastic. Honestly, if this article was anything to go by, then I think the opening, whatever that thing I did in the opening was probably far more interesting. If I had to conclude this video with anything in particular, brush your teeth and then maybe, wash your mouth out or something like that. I'm really scraping for things to say in this, so I think I'll just cut it there. So, are we okay with this? Okay. Good. Not to mention Chris's breath must have been on the downcline, but yeah. Anyway, I'll see all of you guys later. Thank you. Well, hello again. And just before each and every one of you leave, if I could just hold your attention for a few more seconds, and I want to show you very quickly my Patreon store. I've been running this for 5 years now, and ever since this month began, I've decided to reopen, relaunch, completely sort out my categories for videos, and I've uploaded them sometimes as far as 3 months in advance. So you guys will be able to get an exclusive look exactly what's coming out, when it's coming out, at your convenience. So make sure to stop by, take a look around, and let's see what you think. Thank you very much for supporting me once again, and I'll see you again next time.